All right, guys, we're back. It's Anthony from AB Fitness Center here. Today we have an awesome episode with you guys. I'm here with one of my long-term clients who is not actually local to me. She actually lives in Seattle. I call her the Macronator, so I like to welcome on Brittany. Brittany, welcome on. Welcome on the show. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Yeah, so she comes to us all the way on the other side of the world here, Seattle, Washington. So that's a long ways away. I know that your time difference is really annoying because I have a really good buddy in Seattle, and it's like every time I talk to him, it's like 12 o'clock at night for me, and he's like, "Yeah, I just got out of work at like 7, 8 o'clock." I'm like, "Dude."
Yeah, it's a 3-hour difference. So the workouts, when I do the Zoom workouts, it's like uh 5 o'clock here, 8 o'clock there, and everyone's like, ready to go to bed soon. And I'm like, I gotta get dinner ready. What are you guys talking about?
So Brittany has a really, really unique story, and you guys are going to find out what a macronator is and why she is referred to that as that. So Brittany, let's give everyone a little bit of background on your story from your own ears. So talk to everybody a little bit about how you got into fitness, where you are right now, and then we'll talk about, actually, I probably should talk about your results first before I dive down that road. But Brittany's been with us for a significant amount of time. And she had kind of the opposite story. I'll let her kind of explain that. But she lost in that time around, 8 to 10% body fat. So that's a lot of body fat. It's a lot of muscle that she's gained. That's a lot of body fat that was lost. And she's only 28, but she's 3 kids, and she's doing this, living the life every day. So we have to commend you for that one for sure. So Brittany, give everyone a little bit of a rundown on your story.
Well, yeah, I'm 28. I live in Seattle. I have 3 beautiful boys. I just had one in February, so he's going on 3 months right now. And my story is pretty much I was always a skinny kid growing up, and then I got interested in fitness around my senior year of high school and didn't really know what to do at the gym. So I'd go and like hop on a machine that was for abs because I wanted to see my abs. It never worked. I tried P90X, triathlons, just other like 5K races, nothing. Never saw my body composition change. So finally, after I had my first kid, my sister did a bodybuilding competition, and I actually saw someone transform their body, and like something in my head went bing, like, oh, wow, maybe bodybuilders know what they're doing. And so when I was pregnant with my second, I researched on just podcasts, female bodybuilding. I want to learn about this stuff. I want to know what's going on. How do they do it? And New York Muscle Radio came on, and I was like, these guys sound legit. And I'll be honest, I thought it was one person the first episode I listened to, because I thought you guys sounded so similar, you and Pete. But yeah.
So yeah, it's funny because we had a podcast. That's how kind of me and Pete kind of came together with the podcast. And for the longest time, everybody thought we were one person because we have the New York accents and we sound alike. So everybody thought we were one person for a long time, actually. It's pretty funny. So you found the podcast, and here are these 2 jabronis from New York, like with these crazy accents. And you're like, wow, these guys are legit. So what did we kind of say? What was like that trigger point that went off in your mind? And you're like, wait a minute, this makes sense now.
Well, I'd never broken food down to a science, to numbers. I just like heard this is good food, this is bad food. And when you eat brownies, that means you're bad and you're going to get fat. And when you eat carrots, then you're good and you're going to get skinny, right? But like I've been eating both. I look the same. And so I think the podcast that I first listened to was one that you were talking about female body composition and how you need to build the muscle under your glutes to get a booty. You need to lose body fat in order to see your waist, and you just talked about it in a very scientific way. It wasn't like, do this crazy move and you're going to get this result, do this crazy move. And just the way you broke down nutrition, something went off on my head. And I kind of have a type A personality where I'm like, give me a plan and I will execute it. And everything out there is just so like, eat avocados and then you'll, whatever. I don't know. So you guys, it just made sense to my brain. And then I binged all of New York Muscle Radio. Like I just like learned everything. I loved the one about testosterone, even though I'm a woman, but it's just like, I love that kind of stuff broken down. I learned so much that I never even thought possible. So yeah, that's kind of how I got hooked. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we give out a lot of information all the time, and we're talking, especially when me and Pete get together, we talk like crazy maniacs about this stuff. And I'm like, well, we got to slow down, man, because people don't get what we're talking about at the time. So, we really tried to slow down our message a little bit because we can get into the weeds with all this stuff. But, we talked about a macronator, right? So the definition of a macronator is someone that eats a lot of food. Now, you mentioned brownies, okay?
Yeah.
And your food that you post up is always amazing. It always looks amazing. It always looks so good. So a macronator is, like I said, it's someone who has all the macros, right? They basically eat everything and almost anything. So Britney, a cool thing with Britney is we actually able to maximize her metabolism. I'll explain that too. But when she first came to us, she was taking in very low amount of calories. And we actually got her to the point where her macros are so high now. And I'm talking like, so when she first came to us, her fat intake was around 35 grams a day, which is typical for a woman her age. But right now it's up to 75 grams a day.
Yeah.
And she is leaner.
Yes.
She is leaner than she's ever been. She's more muscular than she's ever been. So, the whole notion of you can't eat to get results is just totally not true. So let's talk about when you first signed up with us. So now you started training with us. We gave you these macros and we start increasing the food intake. Now, what did you think was going on when you started like getting in shape, eating more? Like, did that not make sense to you at first?
No, it didn't make sense. And I thought like the macros that I had set for myself, because I put my body calculations in on a website and it showed me macros. So I was like, I should be good, right? And I don't know if I'd bought your ebook by then, but anyway, so I calculated them out. I'm like, these are perfect. Let's just I want to train with you. And so after the first week, you're like, let's up the protein. And I was like, in my head, like, why are we doing that? And then the next week you're like, let's up the carbs by 10 grams. I'm like, why? I thought we were good. But, pretty soon I figured out, I like carbs. I like more. Let's just, bring me the carbs. So I was a little surprised, but now I kind of know how bulking and reversing and cutting works. It's all fluid. It very rarely stays the same unless you're maintaining. So. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point that you just made, is that most people think that, especially when they get to their goal or they get to that point that they have to get at, that like, okay, I'm done, and that's kind of it. But that's not the case. And we've had a lot of experience together. We worked together for 3 years, so we've been through periods of time where we're trying to lose just pure body fat, and then we've been through periods of time where we're trying to build up your metabolism. We've been through times where you were pregnant, so we had a long kind of wave. So what was kind of your I guess favorite point along your journey for these past 3 years? Like, at what point in your training where you really feel like, wow, I'm in a good spot right now? Like, where did that point for you, like your favorite point along the way? Where like you kind of like, you got a glimpse of yourself in the gym, you felt cute in the mirror, like, come on, you can be honest about that.
Let's see. I actually really enjoyed that first year of training because I had all the newbie gains. When you start working out and you hadn't been working out and lifting weights and you lift progressively, I felt way stronger. I could lift up my boys out of their crib, and I had no core strength before because I'd just been pregnant. So I was able to build up enough muscle to just perform day-to-day tasks. So I loved that. I also loved, my carbs got up to 300 grams during that year, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Had all the bagels, and then
yeah, but not New York bagels. That's the problem. See, if you had New York bagels, then you'd really make some gains.
I need to go to New York sometime and try all the bagels and the cookies that Laura talks about. Pizza, yeah, pizza, obviously. Hot dogs. Do you guys have?
Yeah, Nathan's.
Okay, there we go. That one. And so I really loved that point because I was eating so much. And I remember at Thanksgiving, I was, fitting into these high-waisted jeans that were like size 0. Like I'm a short person, so, and always been petite. But anyway, it's just like, wow, I look great and I'm eating all this food. And granted, I was also breastfeeding at that time, which I think has something to do with it. But yeah, it was, I think that was one of my favorite parts. But yeah, so.
So what's a typical day of eating like for you? So you're eating all this food right now. So where were you? Let's kind of fast forward. So 3 years ago, before you find us, what are you eating? Fast forward to today, what are you eating? Because I want people to understand, like, this girl has achieved a lot in this amount of time. And she's gained so much muscle. She's lost so much body fat. She's not a big person by any means, but her body drastically changed. But I want people to understand how much your nutrition has actually changed also.
Oh gosh.
I know, tough questions today.
I know. Well, I have to remember 3 years ago what I was eating. I'm like,
Well, you could give an idea. I mean, I'm sure you know what mistakes you were making then.
yeah. Let's see. 3 years ago, something that comes to mind is I would have a snack, and the snack would be really sweet yogurt, like Zoe. I don't know if you've heard of Zoe, but like the honey one, with chocolate, and like half a cup of it with chocolate powder in there, and blueberries, which is just fine. I'd have like brownies for dessert, like 2 Ghirardelli brownies. And this was obviously before I started counting macros. I would have like oatmeal in the morning. That was a lot of oatmeal. I don't know. So
You were just trying to be healthy.
yeah, I was trying to be healthy pretty much. Well, brownies, but you know.
It was okay
But
because you ate a healthy breakfast, so it was fine.
exactly. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I ate like I had only half a cup of yogurt. That's not very much. Right now I can kind of tell you more of my nutrition. I
Yeah,
remember.
so let's fast forward to now. So then yeah, we got the idea. So then you just ate quote unquote healthy. You know, if it was a good food, I ate good. But then
Yeah.
I had the bad food and that was it. It was horrible. So now where you're at, what's a typical day of eating like for Brittany right now, the macronator?
Well, it's a typical day is really fun. So in the
Look how
morning,
excited you got for this
I love,
question.
I love food. I am just so passionate about food. So it's like, you put me on a restrictive diet, it's not going to work. But I typically like to do, right now I'm having like oatmeal that helps with milk production. It's like 2 packets of brown sugar oatmeal with peanut butter and egg whites on the side, and chocolate chopped up with walnuts on top. Like, I love that. That is one of my favorite things to eat. And then I like to drink chicken broth just to sip on during the day. That has 9 grams of protein in a cup and just 1 gram of fat. That's really nice. Lunches, I usually do sweet potato. This is in the book, the recipe book you actually just put together. Sweet potato, ground beef, broccoli, I really like. And then I have a
We
big,
lost
huge
Brittany.
chocolate. What?
Gotta love the internet. Gotta
Oh
love
no.
the internet. I need to play music when I lose someone on the camera.
Oh no.
Brittany, I lost you.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Oh no.
She was just in the middle of it. There you are.
I'm back.
You're
Where
back.
did it cut off?
So you were talking about your chicken broth in the morning. Well, during the day.
Okay, yeah. Chicken broth just to sip on during the day. Sometimes I like to plan little snacks in between where I'm like, I'm hungry or I'm bored and I don't want to sit down and make something. So chicken broth, I do cucumbers whenever I feel like it. So just like salt and pepper on cucumbers. It's
That's good. I like
crunchy.
that.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. And you can eat it. You can just put it in a bowl and eat it while you're making dinner if you want something to munch on. You don't want to eat all the sauce or whatever.
Well, that's
I
a good
like to
idea,
kind of,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
Good
Uh,
idea.
Thank you. I love big snacks in the afternoon to get me through. So I do a big banana chocolate peanut butter smoothie.
That looks totally amazing. You posted that picture in our private group, and I was like, "What does she eat?" I
Oh,
was like, "This looks like dessert." It's like, this is awesome.
yes, everything should always look like dessert, I feel like.
Hit
I'm
three.
more of a sweet tooth person than a savory. So yeah, I can post the chocolate one recipe on our little Facebook group too. That's my favorite, but I drizzle it with peanut butter and has bananas, cauliflower, spinach. And then for dinner, it's whatever I make. I make like for my family. So enchiladas and French toast and pancakes, or, you know, I'm not afraid of any food. So it's like, oh, let's have burgers today. Oh, let's have this. And sometimes if I'm eating a little less carbs, then I'll put it on a rice cake instead of a piece of bread, you know, or, you know, whatever I feel like doing. We do spaghetti a lot, omelets. I just adjust my food little bits from my family, but I basically eat the same thing as them. And then I love Lenny and Larry's has a great, they have great cookies. The cookies are like this big, 60 grams of carbs. I might eat one, I might eat half of one, and then save it for later. And then, you know, so that's kind of what a typical day of eating looks like for me
It's a
right
ton
now.
of food, guys, but this is what happens when you do things correctly. So, Brittany, what do you love about the flexible dieting approach that we kind of put you on? I mean, you kind of stated the obvious, everything right there, but what about it makes it more sustainable to you and someone who might say like, that seems like a lot of food. I don't know if I could do this. It seems complicated. Would you say to someone like that?
What I love about it is that there's, at least for women, I feel like women have a lot of guilt and shame about food. Like, oh, I ate bad, or oh, I ate naughty. I'm just going to like not eat the rest of the day. And with flexible dieting, it just kind of gets rid of the moral value of food, like good food, bad food. There is none. They're numbers, really, pretty much. Like, what tastes good to you? What fits in your macros? Like the lady that you interviewed, she eats M&Ms. Is it Dana?
Yeah.
Yeah, she eats M&Ms. And it's like, what do you like? Do you like M&Ms? Do you like Skittles? Do you like broccoli? Well, they all have carbohydrates in them, and they, you know, so I love that there are no foods that you have to stay away from. Even like, you know, something like cheesecake, as crazy as cheesecake, you can eat cheesecake when you're flexible dieting, and you don't have to feel bad about the taste of cheesecake in your mouth. And what was your second question about? What would you tell somebody?
Yeah. So what would you kind of tell someone who said like, this sounds complicated? Because that's one of the most common things that I get all the time and it is, and especially initially, you know, it's so complicated to count. It's so confusing. What's kind of your advice and how you've made this a lifestyle for yourself? Because 3 years later, you're doing this better than ever. You're fitting in foods that like, I'm like, I don't even do this. Like you've taken like, I'm very, very simple with what I eat because I guess
Yeah.
I'm a guy. I don't know. I just do things like simple. If it's easy, it's for me, you know, and you've went like total opposite end of that where like you get so creative with your food and like just like you mentioned, the cucumber thing, like that's a great idea that people always ask that question actually. So I'm going to give them that. But, so what makes it so easy for you? And what would you say to someone who said like, this is too complicated?
Well, you can always simplify it, but when you first start out, you got to give yourself a lot of grace. So you mess up. Like I remember when I first started counting, I just like, what I ate is I did a normal day, and then I logged in my food, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I realized that 2 pieces of bread with 4 tablespoons of peanut butter and half a banana, like that is a lot. But what I did was I gave myself grace. Okay, we're learning still. I didn't fail. I'm not going to give up, but tomorrow maybe I'll just have 1 piece of bread, you know, with some PB2 and less bananas on it. It's just kind of, you got to embrace the learning and not give up, because it's like, oh, I messed up. And also planning is your friend. Like I always log in my food during nap time when I'm putting my boys to bed and they need me to just sit in the room and watch them so they don't go crazy. I get on my phone because they don't like eye contact.
No,
And
believe me, I understand exactly what you're
yeah,
saying. Parent
yeah,
time.
yeah. You have to like be there, but you can't be talking to them, else they won't go to sleep. So I sit on my phone and I log in my next day of food. And you guys have said this before, you log in the thing you really want that day. For me, it's dinner usually, because I'm eating it with my family. And then you kind of work your way. And I do get in a pattern. Like I have sweet potato and broccoli and beef for lunch almost every day. You know, you just like, if you're doing MyFitnessPal, you just log in like, oh, copy yesterday's. You can kind of change amounts, but planning is your friend here. I mean, if you leave everything to chance, Anthony can do it. I can't, but yeah, that's what I do. Planning is
You
really good.
could. You could. I plan everything too, but you could. You're very, very capable. I'm so proud of you. Just like I said, like I see some of the things that you do, and it's just like, and to top it all off, I mean, we didn't even discuss this yet. You have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy at all. So I tip my hat to you there, one first and foremost. But because I've been doing this a long time. I've been a personal trainer and a nutritionist for a very, very long time. And I remember when I started, I was really young when I started. I started at 18. So people are trying to take advice from an 18-year-old, and they would tell me like, "Oh, you don't understand. When you have kids, it's different." So I always feel bad for everybody, and I'm like, you know what? It's probably so hard when you have kids. I can only imagine. Okay. Now that I have kids, I realize how much of an excuse that actually is.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, let's talk about the kids. Like I said, you have 3 kids. So
Mhm.
how the hell do you manage to count everything, make all these crazy foods, and still have time to be with your family and still have time to enjoy it? And like, you've just literally made, and I talk about this all the time too, you've made all of this part of your life and not burdened your life because of it. So that's why I tip my hat to you. But a lot of people struggle with that. So what would you say to the mom listening to this who has 3 other kids? It's like, I don't have time for this.
Oh gosh, it's crazy. So maybe my success has something to do with the ages, maybe not. Maybe it's, I don't know. But I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-month-old. So
If
um,
anything, that makes it harder. If anything, that makes it a lot harder because they're so close in age. And those ages, I know because my kids are in those ages too, are hard. Very
yeah,
hard. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Um, so the first piece of advice I would give is go to bed at a good time and get some sleep, because what I would do and what I love to do and what I'm going to do soon is when the gyms open up again is I go early at the gym. So get that in, because babysitting is hard. Taking your kids to the gym is hard, even though I've done it. So what I do is my husband sleeps and I go to the gym early. So if you want to get enough rest to get you through the day, you go to bed at like 10, not 1, 10 p.m. or something like that. And you just kind of, I got up at different times. Sometimes it was 5 a.m. Sometimes it was 6. I mean, you just kind of make it work and talk with, if you have a spouse, which would be very helpful, talk with your spouse. Hey, I'm going to be gone at this time. And I have to work around, feeding my baby because he doesn't quite last super long at nighttime yet. So I have to work around that. But it's almost like I woke up and the first thing that I think is just like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. My clothes are all ready. Let's grab them. Let's go. And it wasn't a choice. It wasn't like, oh, should I go to the gym today? Should I stay asleep? It was more like, oh no, I'm going to do this. And this is my commitment. And with food and nutrition, it's almost like I invite my boys to make food with me and be passionate about food with me. I don't know if that's helpful to anybody else, but I make it really fun. Um, like if I'm in the kitchen working and I'm making pizzas, it's like, oh, they're helping me. They're spreading the sauce. They're cutting stuff up. They're helping me make the pizza. And I don't know, they've just grown up with me loving food. And so they understand. And now that it's summer, I can tell the older ones, go outside, you're loud, go, shoo. And my youngest one, I have him on a carrier while I'm making food, like, those packs that attach to yourself, do that. Or I nap him during that time. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, and have plenty of grace for yourself too as a mom. It's like, oh, I didn't know that XYZ food had 400 calories. Whoops, I ate it. That doesn't mean that you're off the wagon. That just means tomorrow, get back on. Remember that food had 400 calories. Maybe cut it in half and eat half today instead of all of it.
I love that. And I think you mentioned a couple things here that all my clients that have a lot of success all have kind of the same things going on. So you mentioned you're a type A personality. So that seems to be the trend, right? All my most successful people are type A. Type A people take whatever I say seriously. They do whatever I tell them to do, no matter what. And I think that that's the key. You take action. You get it done no matter what. You plan and you take action on that plan. And that's what has led you to be so successful. So I think that any mom listening to this, that's the key right there, is just make sure that you prepare your day ahead of time and that you just take action. Just take action. Don't hesitate. Like she said, try to get it out of the way in the morning as best as you can, because that's probably the best advice too. The earlier you get it done before the day, before they get up and start, the kids, it makes it a lot easier. So we also worked together while you were pregnant. That was, I've worked with people before while they were pregnant, and you did phenomenal. It was so funny because I talk to my wife about you all the time. I'm like, I can't believe how much progress she's making. And like, I would show her like the picture of your back, because every week when I work with someone online nutrition, I want to see pictures because I can't see them in person. So from the back, you can't even tell you were pregnant almost all the way right up until like the last week. It was like when you kind of saw like a little bit of the side bump, but you were all baby. So talk about that experience of being pregnant while working with someone and your nutrition, how that kind of changed during your pregnancy.
Well, I think I was just coming off of, was I bulking before then or maintaining? I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were
bulking
bulking.
before. Okay. Yeah. And so I was kind of bummed because like, I don't know if you like pulled back my calories. I think you did. And I was like, dang. But we gradually added macros in, and super gradual. And I had to come back, step back from weights a little bit, but I didn't miss a day up until 2 weeks before my baby was born. So I didn't skip any days. I love the gym. That was my break time from the boys. And so, yeah, it was hard. It was more difficult. It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be, because like I got sick in the middle and there was a few hurdles, and I had to kind of adjust my eating. Like I couldn't eat whey protein or yogurt, or my stomach did something weird. So it's just kind of like, you kind of have to ride the waves and go with it. And, but it was really fun. And I don't think I could imagine not counting macros, just since then I'd just been doing it for so long. I'm like, oh gosh, it would just be like, stepping into like guessing all the time, which I guess some people do intuitively eat. And I almost wanted to give up one time, actually. I was like, Anthony, I don't think I can do this. This is hard. And he encouraged me, and
What
I
did I
kept
say?
going. That's why I did. You were just like, I don't remember. Like, that's what coaches are for. We can adjust things. And I'm like, oh, okay.
See, this
I
is the
need more
problem.
of
See,
this.
so it's so funny because like, yeah, and you just said a type A personality, right? Like I gave you a certain amount of things to hit, and like you were getting sick and like you couldn't have the protein and it was getting hard, but you're still like trying no matter what to get that
Yeah.
in. And then all we had to do is just adjust everything, and it made it that much easier. And I think that's the key with having a coach, is just having that someone to just kind of look out and say, hey, look, we can make a change. And you have to be flexible with your approach with people all the time. But like I said, I wish I could post up your pictures here, like just the ones from the back, like week
Yeah.
1 of pregnancy and the last week, because you could see like they look exactly the same. It was awesome. It was really, really cool to see. But like I said, I'm just super excited for your progress and getting down the line with you, and just keep going and taking you on further. So what are your goals going forward now? So now you've had 3 kids, you've had all this success with your nutrition and training. Too bad you didn't live closer. I'd try to hire you at the gym. Maybe you could move to New York. You never know.
That's like my dream job. So if we can make that happen in any way, Simon.
That sounds good. We got to get you to New York.
All right. Okay.
We just move Pete aside and just stick you right in there, because I think you'd be great.
No, I like Pete. Pete's awesome.
So seriously, so what are your goals going forward now? Because again, someone looking at this and said, okay, she lost 8% body fat. She's gained muscle. She made it. She's done. That's it. You made it. There's no reason to continue. So what are your goals going forward?
I have a few goals. Long term, super long term, is when I'm 80, I want to be eating pizza and picking up my great grandchildren. So I want to be like, I don't want to be one of those 80-year-old ladies who you go like, you blow on them and then they fall over, break their hip, and die 2 days later. I want to be super strong, powerlifting when I'm 80. I want to be.
That was super descriptive. You really thought about that one.
Well, yeah, I love that thought. that's something that keeps me going. And so I'm like, I'm picturing myself when I'm 80. I want to be strong. You know, muscle disintegrates after you turn 30 if you don't do anything about it, if you don't upkeep it. So I'm like, I'm going to keep my muscle. I'm going to build my muscle. Now, short term, what I want to do is kind of, I want to gain more muscle because I did lose some in pregnancy. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
less.
you're
Yeah.
crazy. You're just crazy.
But I
Got a
want
great
to
personality.
gain a lot of, want to gain a lot of muscle, and I want to eventually settle in a maintenance point where I'm eating a large amount of food and also looking very lean. So I'm just gonna kind of like cut and bulk till I get to that place where I'm happy and stay there for a while, and then maybe cut and bulk again. Like I love this lifestyle, so I'm just gonna keep going with it. I mean, I could get into specific muscles that I want to grow, but I don't know if anyone wants to hear that. So,
Hey, no, you
yeah.
know what it is? You're a lot of people would look at you and say, "Oh, she's so skinny. She's so skinny." I'm sure you've heard those stupid comments from people all
Yeah.
the time, like, "You're so skinny. What do you go to the gym for? What do you go to the gym for?" So, no, I'm curious. What are those body parts? Because I can relate to people saying things like that, and every person's very, very different and unique. And I want to know. I want to know. I want to hear it.
Okay, awesome. So I feel like my shoulders are great. So upper body, I'm pretty good on. I could stand for a little more bicep. Um, I want to build my glutes back up. I was hip thrusting well over 200 pounds before pregnancy. So I want to get that
Brittany's
back.
light also, guys. So she's really, really strong too.
Yes. So
So
glutes,
200
I
pounds is
want to,
like double her body weight more.
yeah, yeah. And so I want to build kind of like the back of my legs up more, and also quads. So pretty much like all of legs, hamstrings, calves have always been like small. So I want to work on those and really target those this next year, I guess. Yeah.
I know. And some people listen to this like, oh my God, she wants to grow muscle. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. But if you looked at Brittany, you'd be like, oh my God, I want her physique. So don't people get like, they hear like muscle and they think like they're going to turn around and look like, a guy on steroids. That's what they think is going to happen. But I think women, especially women who focus on weight training and focus on the nutrition, they end up looking phenomenal. Their bodies look amazing. And that's why after 3 kids, you can bounce back the way you did and look phenomenal. So Brittany, I commend you. We're going to finish this off with one last question. So what advice would you give to someone in your shoes just starting out? What would be your best piece of advice for someone just starting?
Believe that it's possible. Believe that it's possible for you not only to look like a normal person. I mean, if you're really overweight, you can look like a normal person, but believe past that. Believe
So
that you
when
can
people,
look
there
athletic.
we go. There we go. I lost you. I
Oh
lost
no.
you. Go ahead. You got to start that all over again.
Oh gosh. Okay. Um, I would say that person starting off in my shoes doesn't have a lot of muscle, doesn't feel very strong, doesn't like what they see in the mirror, have been struggling for a while. So what I would say to them is believe that it's possible for you to not only achieve a normal looking body, like if you're extremely overweight, or like you can look normal, but also you can achieve more than that. You can achieve an excellent physique, one that you've dreamed of having, that you've almost like discounted, like, oh, I'm just not athletic, or I'm just not this way. Believe that it's possible, because the belief will drive you. And if you don't think it's possible, you're never going to get there. You aren't, because you don't think it's possible. If you do believe it's possible, you're at least going to get to 70% of what you want. And also, like, reversing is really fun. I think that's the most fun thing that you can do in this process, is after the diet is reversing, which is, it's a beautiful thing. So
Not
that's
many
my
people make it to that point, believe it or not, because they think that
well,
it's over once they get there. And it's like that reverse part is, like you said, it's the best part, because if you're eating more food and you're getting leaner and you're like, what's going on?
yep, like you're continuing to lose weight and your calories are being bumped. Like maybe the first month is not fun because your calories are still low, but after that you're like, whoa, I'm maintaining my leanness while still, like, my calories are going up and up and up and up and up. And so that's really fun.
Awesome, Brittany. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate everything that you've done with us, your progress. And I just, and I don't love being quarantined, but I love the fact that the quarantine has brought us all together. I mean, I've been working with you for a long time, and it's so nice to have you as an integral part of our group now. It's like you're here anyway. So I love it. So thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.